everyone, it's Jen and welcome back to my channel and my public speaking series. In today's video, I'm sharing with you 5 different tips and best practices that have worked for me to engage an audience during a virtual presentation. Now, virtual presentations are a whole different animal from in-person ones. It's animal print, didn't mean that. Anyway, so I thought I would share with you 5 different tips that have worked for me, considering a lot of us are working remotely, and I thought maybe you could use these tips. So let's get into the video. Number 1, turn on your video. I know, you're probably like, Jen, of course I would turn on my video for a virtual meeting. And others are like, there's no way I'll ever turn my video on. Well, my number 1 tip is turn your video on, because then they can see your face and then they can see your body language, and you are way more engaging if they can see your face. Every time I do a virtual training, I am a virtual presentation, virtual sales pitch, I always have my video on. I can tell you it makes a world of difference. People will respond to you better. So when people are pitching me different products, I compare unintentionally those who turn their video on with those who don't. And I remember those people who turn their videos on. I almost don't even consider the product of the person who didn't put their video on, because they didn't feel real to me. And by putting the video on, it adds that additional connection. It will give you a leg up. Just do it. Trust me. I promise. You're gonna see a lot more success with engaging your audience if you put your video on. Number 2 is to use your voice. Use inflection. Make sure to go a little bit more. I always think that's a best practice when you're doing a presentation in general. However, when you're presenting or pitching virtually, you really have to use all that you can. So your video's on, your hand movements, like if you see, like you can't see all my hand movements because I'm on video right now. So I have to use my voice and I have to lean forward. I have to speak a little louder or speak a little quieter. Use inflection and tone in your voice to help get your message across and to engage your audience during your virtual presentation. Number 3 is to plan different points of interaction with your audience. There's so many different ways to do this. So it depends. Are you doing a training? Well, then you might want to do a poll. Actually, you probably definitely want to do a poll, because people can go in and they can vote and they can select whichever option, whatever your poll is. And then once they select that, you have more context to engage with them. You're getting their feedback. They don't have to unmute themselves if they don't want to. It's a way for them to participate and you to engage with them not even speaking up. It's pretty great. And to that point, make sure the chat is always open, because that is another way for you to engage with your audience during a virtual presentation. Plan questions. You might have those during your PowerPoint or whatever's on your screen, but plan those questions and allow people to interact. Allow them, depending on the group size, to unmute their phones, to speak up, or to use the chat box. That's really useful. But plan those questions throughout. You don't want too many, but if you plan them throughout, it keeps the energy up during the presentation. It keeps your audience engaged. It keeps them wanting more, and it gives you more context to add to your presentation. Number 4 is to keep your slides simple and clean. What I mean by that is if you have too many words on your slides, and really this applies to in-person presentations too. I'm very much all about less is more. If you have just some high-level bullet points, some keywords that you want your audience to be reading on the screen, put those on there. By all means, they're also really good for you to kind of keep pace and understand where you are in your presentation. But also it forces them to listen to you for additional context. It helps you engage with them more. If they maybe miss something you said, they might speak up, they might use the chat box and ask you more questions. But if they can read everything on the slide, what are you talking for? Final tip. My 5th tip is pretend like you're looking at people that you know. That sounds odd. Let me explain. So when you're looking at your camera, you can kind of see yourself. Like I can see myself in this camera, a little odd. But if you are looking at the camera and pretending like there's someone you know behind it, your mannerisms, the way your facial expressions are, your inflection, all the things are going to be a lot more natural. Now, this especially applies if people are not turning their cameras on while you're doing a presentation, because you can't read them. So you have to pretend like that camera lens is a human being and you are interacting with them, and that will help you be more engaging because the people on the other end will feel like you are speaking to them, because you are, but it will feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more natural, and they will be more likely to engage with you. So those are my 5 tips for virtual presentations to help engage with your audience. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave in the comments below any additional suggestions of content that you would like to see in this series. And also don't forget to tag a friend or share with a friend or colleague if you think that these tips might be useful for them. Have an amazing day and good luck in your next presentation. Bye.